Hi there, Andrew from the Reach Company here. In this tutorial for Jelf, we're going to be looking at using the page builder. We're going to be looking at kind of the page builder overview, and we're also going to be looking at how to quickly and easily add content to a new page or to an existing page using our saved modules, rows, and columns. So to get started, we're going to go click on New Page, and we're going to call this Jelf's Test Page. When you're starting a new page, by the time you guys have this, there will be an area here for SEO content. I always recommend adding an SEO title, description, and image so that when it gets shared on social media or when Google is looking at your page, it sees what you want it to see, and the image you add here is the one that gets shared always instead of Google trying to find or Facebook trying to find the first image that it can to use. But also recommend setting a featured image. And we're going to set Cindy here as the featured image. And we're going to click Launch Page Builder. This is going to bring up the Page Builder interface. It will, of course, look really sparse because there's nothing there when you get started. Before we get going, I'm going to walk through the options up top. And then we're going to look at stuff over here. And then we're going to add a few of our own modules. And then we're going to use some saved modules. So the first thing is this little drop down here. There's a few options. Some of the ones that you might be interested in are the preview layout and responsive editing. Preview lets you preview what you've already made without having to see the page builder stuff. Responsive editing lets you edit the page or edit the modules in a responsive settings for like tablets and phones. Layout, CSS, Reach Global, all of these are like site-wide settings and mostly pertain to code and such. I wouldn't recommend messing with any of this stuff here. I just have a little bit of code here. Layout CSS is for CSS and JavaScript just for this individual page. It doesn't get loaded elsewhere. Shouldn't have to mess with that. And I don't keep much code here. This is mostly for testing, so this will probably be empty by the time you get here. If you guys have someone on staff that wants to tweak CSS and such for like a landing page for you or anything like that, this is where they would do it. If I come over here to the top and click Done, you'll see I get a few options. One, I can discard anything I made, I can save my draft, or I can publish my page. We're not going to do any of that right now. What we're going to do is look at these areas. So we'll start with rows. Rows are basically how the page stacks on top of each other. You have a few options here for how many columns go inside a row. And so this is a row with 2 columns. I'm going to put a minimum height on this row. So the height I'm going to say is just full height. And that'll make the this row fill up the view area for whatever device you're looking at it on. And you can see I have 2 columns here. I can view column settings, and up here I can hover over this wrench and you'll see that it brings up row settings. Now what I want to do is take my modules. I want to drop a few in here. Let me drop a heading module. This is a heading. Let me drop a photo module. I can select a photo. Do Cindy again. And I want that to be smaller. I'm going to move it to the left, and I'm going to make it square because I like Instagram. And you can change the size in there as well. So let me change the width to 400 or 300 so we can still see the heading. And I'm going to drag an info box over here. I'm going to give it a prefix, a title, a description, you can add an icon or a photo. I'm going to add an icon, and I'm going to use one of Ellen's awesome icons. I'm going to tell it to go to the left of the heading. And the last thing I'm going to do is add a button. It's just going to say click here. And I'm going to tell it to go to the application page if someone clicks on it. Now, let's see what we're working with. So you'll see like this is one module, an info box module. It's made up of a few different elements. This is a heading module and a photo module. And I can also add a button here. So a few different modules in this. And I have modules stacked on top of each other. These modules are inside a column, and these two columns are inside of a row. So it's basically boxes, inside of boxes, inside of the bigger box, which is a row. And if I duplicate this row by clicking on that little duplicate icon, you can see that the page is basically made up of rows that are stacked on top of one another, and that's how you organize your content. Now, these modules, there are many of them, and you can go through them here. I find that having a million modules can be kind of overwhelming, so this list will probably be shorter by the time you get it to use. And anyway, the neat thing about this is that you won't have to use a ton of these modules here and just figure out the settings and such, because we have a collection of saved rows, saved columns, and saved modules here, so that you can quickly and easily create new pages or add content to existing pages in a way that is congruent with the design of the rest of the website. For example, let's use an interior top row and drag that in. And you can see without having to, this is a heading module, an info box module right here, but it looks different than this because it's already styled. And so the beauty of having the saved modules is that you don't have to go through and add all the settings. You can just come in here and just like you would any other page on the page builder, you can drag those in and edit them how you would like. For example, you could go watch the video on working with text, and you could just drag this save module in and update the text as needed. And change out the pictures and the images. The last part of the page builder overview is that we have these things called global modules. Global modules are modules that are updated once, and it updates every instance of them throughout the website. For example, the Jelfie submission. We use the Jelfie form on a number of pages, and that design is the same across a number of pages, and we only have to set the design once because it's a global module. And so if I want to edit the global module, I just click the wrench, make the changes the design-wise that I need to, and that updates everywhere throughout the website.